Greetings and welcome to CEAM6317 Church Business Administration. I hope you're not bored already by just the title, but it is a very technical administrative type course that walks through the business aspects of the local church. It's in addition to church leadership and administration, the required course for our master's students. It's a course that drills down even further on specific business aspects of the church. And so this course, I'm going to walk you through the syllabus and just let you know that the laws for each city, for each county, for each state, and even America as a whole, you just need to be sure that these things can change month to month, year to year. And so as you're walking through this course and the content, you also need to have a gauge for your community where God has placed you to serve. And just be sure that you're in compliance with local law, state law, and just be sure that as we're looking at federal law that changes every time Congress is meeting, and sometimes even under executive order of our president at the time, that these things are sometimes more fluid. So just be sure you're up to date. This course is not going to prepare you for the rest of your ministry as far as the legalistic details. You're going to have to be a student that is continually learning as our society changes how we govern ourselves from city to city, state to state, government to government. So it's going to give you a good framework, though. Dr. Welch in Church Administration, one of your required textbooks in the second edition, is going to give you some specific areas that you may have just glossed over in church leadership administration. But also there's a free textbook that's been provided for you in PDF format in the online course shell, and that's the Church Organization Manual. Dr. Welch and Kevin Walker created this resource, and they have made it available to you for free, and so I have permission to give that to you in the course. You do not have permission, however, to reproduce that book. It is only for your download and use in this course and for your ministry. You're not, due to copyright, allowed to share that with other people beyond you as a student and for your ministry. There's a couple of units that we're going to unpack throughout the semester. There are 6 areas of focus in this course. The first one is the church and the administrative task. We're going to begin by looking at the biblical backdrop for business and administration. You see all the way back to Moses guiding the people that there were administrative tasks when Jethro had to take him aside for carrying on the burden of all the work and administration himself. And so you see that through the order of people and administrating different things in the Old Testament and customs. You see that even among the disciples, that there was a treasurer and Matthew was a tax collector. So there's been some business administrative tasks dating back even to biblical times. So we look at some biblical foundations for business and administration, some good practices of always taking care of the widow, always taking care of the least of these in society. Just some of the basic things that begin to get our thoughts toward taking care of people, spending resources to be sure ministry is accomplished. Also, we come to then look at Constitution and bylaws, those administrative documents that give us the pathway to lead a local body of believers. Where are we located? What's the Constitution that tells us how we're governed? What are those bylaws to who makes what decisions, etc. So we're going to look at that strictly from just the leadership and administrative function in our other master's course, but specifically in business, financial policy, risk management, facilities, etc. We're going to look all the way to the Church Organization Manual, the policy and procedures. We're going to look at all those documents and how that relates to who has authority to borrow money on behalf of the church, who has authority to enter into contracts with janitorial services, food service, etc. Not all these issues may apply to you. Some may be indirectly applied to your ministry, but I hope they're helping you. There's also going to be personnel procedures. Personnel procedures not only with those that you hire in their job descriptions, but volunteers and how they're governed and how they have accountability. If they have budget resources or facility use, how are they also in compliance with the church and not abusing budget, etc. So what are those personnel policies, orientation? If someone is found to not be in compliance with their guidelines, with their volunteer or paid employment with your church, then how do you deal with those? There's also some fiscal procedures, And that deals with the overall financial manual, accounting for tithes and offerings, designated giving, how you create a budget, how you distribute the budget, what's the accountability for those receipts and reimbursements and bill paying, and walk through all the fiscal responsibilities of a church and the business side of those. Deal with some laws regarding taxes, deal with some paying your FICA, paying different requirements as someone who has an employee. Talk about some of the things that all churches have to deal with employment as well, like every person working in the United States for any type of money is supposed to complete an I-9 form that says they have the ability to work in the United States. Just some of those basic things that we just need to be sure we're keeping on file, keeping a record of. They're not always fun to deal with in ministry, but they are things that we need to be faithful to take care of. Also, there's property management things that we have to start considering. How are we being a good steward of the facility that God's blessed us with, the facilities that we have built? So that also deals with transportation. We're going to talk about building programs. We're going to talk about ADA compliance. We're going to talk about insurance. We're going to talk about janitorial and the housekeeping of those facilities. We're going to talk about the overarching rental of those facilities, who can use the facilities, what's the process for securing use of those facilities, who's responsible for the cleanup, outside organizations that want to rent your facilities, or because you're doing like-minded ministry, possibly partner together like an associational D now and your church hosts that event, an FCA banquet because you're a part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes in your community, those kind of things. Also, we're going to talk about the governance of the church office, office hours, just the aspect of a church office and what that needs to be in relation to the day-to-day ongoing business practice of the church. So we'll deal a little bit with church offices and the office manual, office management systems. And then we're going to finish with church program ministries. Now, you may be thinking, all right, finally, discipleship. Well, not really. The church program ministries are those ministries that come alongside and support the work of the church. So maybe you do a Wednesday night meal, and so we're going to talk about food service, food management programs, being sure food's not out of date, being sure food is properly prepared for people. Maybe you have a weekday program for preschool that you're operating, and we'll talk a little bit about processes just with the management of that facility. We'll talk about the administrative health of the church. How are we being sure that we have reserves for some of the big ticket items in our budget? How are we being sure that we're conducting assessment? And we'll look at different aspects of church programming to deal with the business function of the church. There's a couple of things we're going to ask of you this semester to be sure that you are doing assignments with the course content as we deal with these difficult issues. One, you're going to read Dr. Welch's book, Church Administration, and you're going to write a short half-page statement of a specific problem in the local church that each chapter addresses. So each chapter, a half-page problem that could be addressed in the local church. And so you will complete that assignment. You'll develop a personnel management plan that integrates the process of staff administration with the development for hiring and salary development in a staff in the local church. You're going to look at budget exercise with some case study churches and submit those. You're going to look at some articles and provide a one-page synopsis of that article and report of the assessment and what they're doing. You're also going to conduct an administrative health of a church. So what you'll do in that is you'll select a church and comment on findings for each of the 7 areas of analysis. So remember, I'll walk through everything we're going to talk about this semester. We'll really walk through analysis of that ministry. Don't worry, there are content in the course documents and the units of study to help you walk through that process. Also, from the material presented in the class, there's a self-directed study guide that you download. And for each area that I talked about, there's a PowerPoint. And it's a color-coded PowerPoint. So you download the note guide, you look at hopefully you'll print it in color, and then you'll look at those, fill in blanks, and walk through those PowerPoints along with videos and fill in the blanks. And through that material, and with in cooperation with a case study, You will work through to develop a personnel, a finance, a property, or office manual for policy and procedure in church business in the local church. Now, it sounds a little complicated. There'll be more information coming from me about that, but those are your 6 assignments for this semester that you will complete. The policy manual, that last will be in the capstone assignment. That's 30% of your grade. So I'm praying for you this semester. If you have any questions, feel free to call my office or email me at jdeen@nobts.edu. I'm looking forward to our semester together as we tackle these big issues that plague the church when we do not do them well. I hope you enjoy the semester. I hope you learn a lot. And don't ever hesitate to call me if you have a question or a concern. Take care. Have a great semester.